Welcome to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes. So how do you interview for a job if you are a job hopper? Well, the cold truth is that when you're older, your work history, you know what? It more than likely includes at least a dozen or more jobs, and that's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That says on average, men held 12.6 jobs and women held 12.3 jobs in their career. But if in the last 2 or 3 years, if you've run through jobs like a short distance runner, well, you can bet it's going to become increasingly hard for you to land a job that pays a meaningful salary or even a good wage. And that's simply because hiring managers, as a matter of practice, well, they don't hire job hoppers. Well, in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some tips on how you can overcome this hurdle that I call the job hopper's dilemma. And that, my friends, that's up next right here on Over 50 TV. Welcome back to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes. Well, before we move on, I want to mention that this video is sponsored by Career Fitter. Now, Career Fitter offers a free career aptitude test that can help you figure out the next steps that you could take or maybe even you should take in your career. And the free career report, well, it includes a load of information like how much money you can earn in careers that match your personality. It also gives you cool career fields that you may want to consider. And in the report, it also lays out specific careers that fit you. Now, if you want to get real serious about figuring out your career options, well, Career Fitter also offers a premium report that includes lists of specific jobs that are a good fit for you. There's a link to the free Career Fitter report in the description box. Also, at the end of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very special announcement, an announcement that I'm very excited about because I think it can help everyone watching this video increase your chance of landing a great job. So stay tuned until the end of this video if landing a great job is your goal. So what's a job hopper to do? And when I say a job hopper, I mean somebody who looks like they're a job hopper, especially if you have gone through a number of jobs in the last few years. Well, number one, let's look at your resume. On your resume, I recommend listing jobs that are no more than 10 years old. And some people will say 10 to 15. 10 years is good, 15 is okay, but the longer the list, the more attention you call to each one of those jobs. I recommend staying within that 10-year time frame if you can. The other thing is list jobs that are the most relevant. If it turns out you're going to have some gaps because you're only listing relevant jobs, well, just be prepared to explain why you've got those gaps. Now, another thing that's important, not just the resume, but your cover letter. I've created a cover letter that I think hiring managers can't resist, and there's a link to that cover letter in the description box. There's also a video that I produced called Introducing a Powerful Cover Letter Hiring Managers Can't Resist. Same name, but you can see that video just by clicking on the link above. Now, there are usually only 3 reasons you leave a job. Number 1, you left on your own accord. Number 2, you were laid off or the company closed, or you were fired, you were terminated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how to answer each one of these reasons, the reasons why you're no longer employed at those companies. And you can bet your hiring manager will ask you why. They're going to want to know why you left, and they're going to want to know this because obviously they're looking at your resume, they're looking at all these jobs, and they're going to think this guy, this woman, they're a job hopper. So, number 1, you left on your own accord or you left voluntarily. Now, if you left on your own accord, well, here's a way, I think anyway, a good way that you can explain it to the hiring manager. Just say this: I appreciated the job and I really like the people I work with, but the position, it was stagnant and there are no more opportunities for me to learn and to grow. And I read about your open position, and you know what? It looks like a great fit. I'm excited. I'm excited to transfer my skills to your company. So that's a short, succinct way to answer a question if they ask you, hey, why did you leave voluntarily? But let me give you a short list of reasons or excuses that I've heard over the years from people when I asked them, well, why did you leave your job voluntarily? And one excuse I've heard consistently is my mom or my dad or my wife or my child, well, they became seriously ill and I became the caregiver, so I was forced to quit my job. Another one I've heard, my husband and I decided to divorce, and I found myself raising my children on my own, so I was forced to quit this job, and I loved that job. I really loved it. Another one I heard is this: I've gone through a series of personal tragedies, and I was forced to quit my job. And these are all excuses that I've heard, and I say excuses, maybe they're just reasons, but regardless, they are excuses that I've heard. They're widely used. I'm not saying that you should use these excuses. I'm only saying I've heard them many, many times in my career. Now, I want to make sure that I tell you this. Don't go into a lot of detail about why you left your last job, because sometimes it seems like you're just hemming and hawing. You're trying to make an excuse. Just flat out let them know why you left. Number two, always relate back to why you're a good fit. You want to focus on that current job. You don't want to focus on what happened in the past. And number three, if you can, be sure to give a reference. Say, hey, I do have a reference that you can call. If you have one, that would be great. It always helps if you have a reference. It's something that they can check, and it really gives them a sense of that you are a good person, and of course that you've got a legitimate reason for leaving that job. Now, if you left a job because that company closed, or maybe you were laid off, well, I think this is really the easiest way to answer or explain to that hiring manager why you're no longer there. But I do recommend this. I recommend that you write down that answer before you go into the interview. And yeah, you may sit there and you may be thinking, well, I don't need to do this, but you know what? It does help. I'd sit in front of a mirror and I'd be answering that question, or I'd take a cell phone and I'd answer it. I'd take this extra step because doing so can help you if you find yourself in an interview and you find yourself under a little bit of pressure. Well, you know what? Your answer is going to be succinct. I was laid off for this reason, or the company closed, and you know what? I've got a reference that you can check. To me, again, and I mentioned this in the previous example, the previous reason, having that reference really does go a long way. It shows that a former manager thought enough of you to say, hey, use me as a reference. But I also want to say, and I want to recommend this, don't go into a lot of detail. And you always want to relate back to why you're a good fit for this company. Focus on this current job. But yeah, if you've got a resume that looks like you're a job hopper, you know what? You're going to have a couple times, or maybe one time anyway, that you were laid off, or if the company closed, you're going to let them know that. But again, this is the easiest way, or the easiest answer you can ever give, is just by saying, hey, they laid me off. If you were fired for poor performance, well, you know what? If you were fired for poor performance, I would find a way. I would try to find a way to avoid giving this reference. But if you do, well, it is best just to be honest about it and don't lie. If they find out later, well, you know what? They're not going to trust you, and you're probably, I should say, more than likely going to be let go. But let me tell you how I can recommend you answer this. I would just say this: I didn't perform up to their standards. At the time, I thought I did my best. But you know what? Looking back, well, I believe I could have done a much better job. I'm disappointed with myself, but, you know, I believe I learned a valuable lesson, and I learned a lesson that'll make me a much better person, a much better worker going forward. And these lessons, well, you know what? I'm going to be able to transfer them to my new position here at your company. It's usually an uncomfortable answer, but you know what? That's really the best way, at least the best way that I found that you can do it. Now, whatever you do, don't go into a lot of detail about why you were let go. Just give them that explanation, that brief, succinct explanation. And I always relate back to why why you are a good fit. You want to focus on that current job. Well, there you go. I've just outlined a strategy to help you to beat that job hopper dilemma. I do want to say this: it's not going to be easy, because if you've gone through or run through a number of jobs in just the last few years, well, you know what? It won't be easy. Sometimes what I find is the hiring manager, especially if they're a bit younger, they won't understand why you left a job or two, or maybe a job or three. But the answers, the strategy that I outline, I believe it can help you to beat that job hopper dilemma. So now, let me share with you this special announcement that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And let me mention it by starting out and saying this: I want to help you to land a great job. So what I've decided to do is I've decided to create a workshop a 2-hour workshop that I am calling How to Sell Yourself in a Job Interview. Now, this isn't your standard workshop, not by any stretch of the imagination. In this workshop, what I'll do is I'll share with you a sales strategy that some of the top salespeople in the world use to sell. And I'm going to go deep into the sales process, and I'm going to tailor it to the age group, to you and me, to people over 50. And I don't think anyone has ever done that before. Now, in my workshop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the steps that you can take to make yourself a top candidate for any position. I want you to become the best. I want people, hiring managers, to want you. I want you to impress them. I want you to make that interviewer. I want to make you to make that interviewer get past your age and look at you as the person that you are. Now, next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how you can sign up for this workshop. So please watch my channel here, or you can look at our Facebook page for the details. Now, that includes the price of this, what I call a transformational workshop. But I also want to say one more thing. I'm only going to have 10 people, 10 entrants, 10 participants in this workshop, because what I want to do is I really want to be able to work with you on a more, I would just almost want to say a one-on-one basis. We're going to be with 10 other people. You'll be with 10 other people. But it really does, by limiting the number, it really does give me the ability to answer your questions. Now, I am also going to offer, as part of this workshop, I'm also going to offer a 30-minute Zoom call with me that's included in the price. But again, you can get all those details next week when I formally announce the workshop. But I just wanted to get this out there so you know that you do have an opportunity to learn how to sell yourself in a really dynamic way. Well, that's all I got for you today, folks. I want to thank you for watching this video. I really actually had a really good time, a fun time to present this to you, because I think it's really important. People do look at job hoppers, and as we get older, the hiring manager does look at us, some of us, as job hoppers, and they don't quite understand that, yeah, we're older. We're obviously going to have had a few jobs in our career. All I got for you. I want to thank you for watching. And as I always say, have a great day, everybody.